So now you're going to get free visa sponsorship. You're going to get £8,500 relocation package, and you get what? People are paying a lot of money for visa sponsorship. You're getting everything free of charge. Thank God. Well, yesterday you looked very happy when we were doing the preparation, but today,
Yeah.
first of all, congratulations on getting the job and getting visa sponsorship, and you will be getting the relocation package. Tell me, when you woke up this morning before you went for the interview, what was the thoughts that came to your mind?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Today it was different. I was relaxed, but I couldn't sleep much last night for some reason. Well, it's normal for me to, before the interview, not to sleep, And I was up around 5 o'clock this morning. And, but I was relaxed because in the morning, I even managed to do my laundry, went downstairs to hang my laundry. I don't normally do that on an interview day, to be honest. So, yeah, this morning was much, much better.
Why were you relaxed?
You know, I say to myself after last night, because I could hear you, if you could relax, you can get this. If you could relax, you can get this. I could hear you in my ears. So I tried to to calm down myself, and I managed to.
So it appears that what we were talking about the psychological preparation.
Yes.
And if one doesn't deal with that, how that can consume the real person when we appear for interview. The interviewer won't see the real you or the real me because we're so nervous. You know, our real personality, you know, the drive, the hunger, the passion, the enthusiasm, those things will not show because we
True. Very true.
What was the first question they asked you?
Case study I have done.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the case study about?
That's the last question we discussed last night. Remember, we touched a lot on case study last night.
Yeah, we talked
a lot.
So, was it about strength-based approach?
No, case study that I have done. Remember my case study, Nelly?
Yeah.
And when I said Nelly, not her real name, she nodded, wrote something down.
Good.
Yeah.
Speciality.
So, and strength-based. And what else? I've sent you some of the questions, isn't it?
No, you have.
Yeah.
Oh, they asked you about stress.
They did.
How many people interviewed you?
Just 2. So the panel was good.
Okay. So now you've got the job with a visa sponsorship. Did you ask them any question?
I did about, I checked about any support when we get there. And they said, yes, we will definitely get some support. And I commented on their outstanding offstat. That was a comment, not a question. And I think they liked it as well. And yeah, I did not ask much. We finished 30 minutes, we were done.
Okay. You remember I said to you yesterday, I said, most interviews, the interviewers make up their mind after 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, true. Very true.
you must have made a massive impression on them the first 5-10 minutes, that they say, you know what, this person is experienced, this person's already done the job, this is the kind of person we want, how do we get them in?
Yeah. And thank you for the questions as well. They really helped.
So you're welcome. So in terms of coming to the UK now, how long notice do you have to give your employer?
1 month.
1 month. Have you given them now?
I'm waiting for the letter because I got the job before I applied.
Okay.
Right? So I had to apply for the jobs. They said I should apply for the job before I get the letter. So
Okay.
I did this afternoon, and they said they will get in touch on Monday.
Okay. So
I can't resign before I receive the letter.
Okay. So once you have the offer of visa sponsorship letter, that is what you will then take to the British Embassy in South Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. The visa should be very, very quick.
Let's hope so.
No, it will, because you're coming to work for an organ of the government, the local authority, it should be a very, very quick process.
I'm not sure about my police clearance though, because last time, the one that expired in October, it took about a month.
Okay. Have you applied for it now?
No, we have to go on Monday because they only do in the mornings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it takes a month, that's fine. If it takes a month, that's fine. So what you need to do is that you get the police clearance, and once you have the letter, you start the process.
And the TB test. But the TB test doesn't take long.
Okay.
The one I have, it is expiring on the 24th of November. So I cannot use that one.
So the TB test shouldn't take at least 3 days for you to get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll do the TB test next week. Then I'll go on Monday, do my police clearance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Well, like I said, I wasn't surprised that you got the job.
Really?
No, because
After Tuesday.
No, if the way you appeared the first day, when you were the way you came to the Zoom, it felt like you were going to fight me. When I said, if your body language, it feels like you and somebody just had an argument. You know, it's all about your attitude, the way you approach things. You know.
I think I was tired. It was late, and because the Zoom meeting was it 10:30?
It was 8 o'clock.
It was 8:30.
8 o'clock UK.
Oh yes, it was 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
Right. Okay.
And here it's 10 to midnight this side.
Okay.
I know we have to make some sacrifices, but sometimes the body doesn't want to.
Yeah.
As much as we want to. Yeah. So I was just tired.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I get it. What I'm saying is, the way you appeared yesterday, I knew that you will get the job. And I kept saying to you, Gloria, there is no way you will not. I told her, I say, I am 100% certain that you will get the job. You keep saying,
yeah, you said.
And I said, why are you saying I hope so? You will get the job, because I know that the way you were approaching things, you were smiling, your personality was coming up. That is what people want to see. Because listen, the social work side, but somebody who only have about an hour to 2 hours to assess you, they're not going to see the real Gloria.
Yes, true.
So the task before you is to make sure within that short time, they see the real you. They make a decision that when they employ you and you join their team, you will be able to fit in, you will be able to hit the ground running, you're the social worker who will get the job done. That is the thing that you need to convey to them.
Yeah.
And that's what you did today, why they gave you the job.
I couldn't believe it. 30 minutes, it was over.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it.
Yes. Yes. If they ask you the first question, you answered like you created doubt in their mind. Then they will ask you another question again. You create doubt in their mind. They just make up their mind and say, look, this person is not this job. So if they have doubt, then they'll start to, okay, let me ask another question again. I'm not too sure about multi-agency work. Let me ask. But if the people think that this person knows what assessment is, he knows what risk is, he knows what needs is, he knows what the signs of safety are, he knows what working together is, what do we need more again?
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy for you. Listen, keep me posted. I know you have family members in the UK. When you are coming, just keep me posted with the preparation. I will link you up with my Zimbabwe contact. I've got someone who moved here 3 months ago. I've got people who've been here for 8 years, 20 years. They are all Shona. You're Shona, right?
Yes, I am.
They're all Shonas, and these are lovely people. I will link you up with them so that they can help with your transition. If you need any, by the time you come to the UK, the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks is going to be very, very challenging. If you need any moral support or anything, feel free to give me a call. I will always support you, and we'll always be here for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Francis. Thank you, because now that's the stress. How is the transition going to be? Everything happened so fast. Did you notice? Yeah, from the day I was arguing with you that I don't have to write eyelids.
See, I always believe in fate and destiny. You were telling me, Francis, you didn't want to tell me you were going to Norwich. You remember what I told you?
Norfolk, yeah.
Remember what I told you? I said you are destined to come to this place. Remember what I told you?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
I said you're destined to come to Hampshire. I told you.
You did.
Let's start with, why did you decide to apply for this position?
Right.
Yeah, if you were asked that question, why do you think you're the right person for the position? What would you say?
I have the skills and knowledge needed in this vacancy, in this job. The following are my skills that is needed in this job.
Okay.
I have good communication skills, interpersonal skills. I'm good at setting boundaries. I've good.
If you were asked that question, that is an opportunity for you to talk about, you've got good computing skills, good communication skills, you've got good report writing skills, you've got good analytical skills, you can build relationship with young children, especially teenagers. You've got in terms of, you've got good time management skills. Technology is very important in health and social care these days. You can use technology you can integrate technology into your practice. When it comes to time management, you know how you can get the job done on deadlines. That is the opportunity for you to talk about the skills that you bring. Record these skills. Sorry, go ahead. In terms of experience, so can you just tell us the experience you have for this role?
I have experience in working with children and families. I have experience in working with other agencies, professionals. I have experience in direct work with the children. I have experience in report writing. I have experience in risk assessment, risk and needs assessments. I've experienced in referrals, recording and record keeping. I've experienced in working with community, doing assessment, doing awareness programs. I have experience in using different theories and assessment tools to evidence my work. I have experience in putting together a safety plan, report writing, and with a good recommendation, analysis and recommendation section.
So you've answered the question well, but what we need to differentiate when we answer that question is for us not to talk the skills that we said we had, for us not to be mentioning the same thing again.
Right.
Okay? Because we want to make sure that whatever we say is punching, is landing. You know, when you're doing boxing, if you're throwing punch, it doesn't count until your punch hits target. So the punch needs to hit target. What experience do I have? I've got experience of working in adoption, substance misuse, domestic violence, children who are at risk of sexual exploitation, children who are at risk of terrorism exploitation. These are the things I'm experiencing, some of the things I'm experiencing. Yeah, domestic abuse, substance misuse, victim of Cantilan, which is what they call sexual exploitation in the UK. Yeah, children, honor-based crime, where children are ostracized by their family because they've married or they have relationship with someone from outside their culture. I've got experience of working with asylum seekers. So these are the areas, different areas in social work that I have experience. Report writing, building relationship. Those are the things I've already said I have when it comes to skills. Yeah?
I hear you, yeah.
Okay. So whatever we do, just make sure that if we're answering the question you should always ask yourself is, the question is experience. Am I answering it now? If you keep asking yourself, even though you make mistake, you'll be able to retrace yourself back and answer the question.
Okay.
So what would you consider as good outstanding practice? What does good outstanding practice mean to you?
Outstanding practice to me, it would mean making best decisions to protect a child, working with other agencies, safeguard the child, and make sure that they are not
I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah.
So a case that you had where the recording is not clear, is that an outstanding practice?
May you please come again?
If you have a case, assuming I'm your manager, you have a case that you've worked in where the recording is not clear, would you class that as outstanding practice?
No.
Okay, a case that you've worked where there's no direct work, would you class that as outstanding practice?
No.
A case that you've worked where the voice of the child is missing would you class that as a standard practice?
No. Oh, I get you.
A case that you've worked where it's not focused, it's not child-centered, would you class that as a standing practice?
No.
A case that you've worked where there's no evidence of good multi-agency working in line with working together, is that a standing practice? Can you see the way I've answered the question?
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that you need to be saying if you're asked a question like that tomorrow. Not say safeguarding. Safeguarding is not answering the question. Say things like child-centered approach. Make sure there's a smart plan. Make sure it's clear why children's services is involved, what the goal is. The focus is on the welfare of the focus is on maintaining a child-centered approach, identifying the risk to the child, and how to address the risk. Those are the evidence of a standing practice.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things we should be saying tomorrow. Okay, so let's go to the next one, which is describe a complex case you manage and what was the outcome for the child.
It is a case that was referred to us by the police, and it was allocated to me by my manager. It's a case of a girl I'm going to call Nelly.
Okay.
The girl was 9 years old at the time. She was sexually abused by the father. A neighbor heard the screams, went running, and she saw the father sexually abusing Nelly. It stated in the referral that she called the police and the child was transported to the teddy bear clinic. So I discussed the case with my manager. I visited Nelly as she was in the hospital side. Upon arrival there, should I narrate the whole story or
No.
How do I work?
If you're doing that, they're gonna lose them. What they want to hear, this is how you will say, for instance, yeah? Just say, a case I recently had, I'm gonna call the child Nelly. Nelly is 5 years old. These are the presenting problem, the concerns. The concerns was that Nelly was at risk of sexual exploitation, or Nelly was chastised or witnessed domestic abuse. Just say Nelly and mention the concerns. That way, you cut off the meat. You don't need to call Nelly. The child's name is John or Francis or Gloria. This was the reason Francis was open to us. And this is what I did to get Francis from here to here. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. So I worked with the doctors, the police, and the school. The police helped that the father of the child would not get bail. So that was part of the safety plan. Did I skip the other portion, the important portion?
No, but what is not coming across to me is, why is this child open to your team? What are the concerns?
She was sexually abused by the father.
Good.
And we are an organization that works with sexually abused children who need CP medicals. That's why the referral ended up coming to us.
Okay. So Nelly was open to your team due to concerns about sexual exploitation.
Yes.
Okay. So what did you do to what was the outcome?
What did I do? I worked with the police.
Yeah.
I worked with the medical team.
Yeah.
I worked with school because Nelly was supposed to be in school that time.
Yeah.
I worked with other organizations because Nelly's mom disclosed domestic violence. So Nelly was suffering many traumas. She needed help of witnessing domestic violence as well. So I worked with other agencies for mom to get help with domestic violence, and school because Nelly, I arranged trauma counseling for Nelly, and it was going to be conducted during school time. So I worked with the school for it to happen.
Okay, so when we say we work with the school and the other agency, what did you actually do?
I arranged for Nelly to attend counseling during school hours.
Okay.
I arranged, Dad was arrested and denied bail, so mom was not working. I arranged with, I think in the UK you call them food banks.
No, food bank.
Here
Sorry, food bank here is where you get collect food to give families that are struggling. So that's not.
Yes.
Is that what you call? Is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay.
Because mom was not working, Dad was arrested. There was no food in the house.
Okay.
So I arranged for them to get food.
Okay.
And they provided the name of the person where they would go because Nelly was afraid to go back home. So I did police checks on that person, and it came out clear. So they were going to live there for a while until Nelly was better to go back home.
So if I were asked that question, what I would say is the concerns when the case were allocated to me were neglect. Because the case you described before, the word you need to say is neglect. If a parent cannot meet their children's basic needs consistently, that is neglect. And in this case, that is neglect, and that is medical neglect. There's serious medical neglect. That's the word you must say when you're talking about this case. Okay, so this case was allocated to me. Concerns are neglect. The child's health needs were not being met. The child, did you say the child had running stomach?
Yeah, had diarrhea, running stomach.
Okay. The child,
and he was dehydrated.
Okay, so that is clearly evidence of significant medical neglect. So I will start that case by saying, when this case was allocated to me, the presenting concerns were significant neglect, medical neglect, and other form of neglect. This child was dehydrated, parent did not seek medical attention. Initial concern was neglect. However, when we started working with the family, other areas, other safeguarding concerns emerged, such as, did you say there was a domestic abuse?
Domestic abuse came only after, but the mother was under influence of substance use.
Good. So you will say the initial concern was neglect. However, when we started working with the family, we now realize that mom has a history of substance misuse, which appear to be impacting her parenting. So let me ask you a question. Do you think if mom wasn't using substance in the case you just talked about, do you think that she would have been able to meet the children's needs?
No, she won't, because she was under the influence of substance.
No, what I'm saying is, if you remove the substance, if mom was not misusing substance, do you think that mom would have been able to meet the child needs?
Yes, because we could see she had love for her children. But the time she spent on substance was more, and that's how she ended up neglecting children. She had that very good attachment and bonding between herself and the children.
So, in
And
terms,
she had support from the boyfriend, the father of the children.
so in terms of your analysis, when you're looking at your analysis later, you're looking at the substance misuse impacting on mom's ability to be able to consistently meet the children's need. So when you're asked to present a case, that your complex case, the things you will look at, you say initial concerns was neglect. The child was presented in hospital, suffering diarrhea, dehydrated. Parents did not seek medical treatment on time. However, when we started working with this case, we realized that there were other concerns such as substance misuse, mom not engaging with substance misuse team. But there were still some. So you start with the concerns, now move it to what did you do in order to address the concerns and improve the child's outcome. That is where you start looking at the strength within the family. You mentioned mom's boyfriend, and mom's boyfriend, is it correct to assume that he wasn't misusing? There were no concern about his ability to meet the children's needs?
Okay, the concern there, he was able to support the children, but when we dig deeper by analyzing and gathering information, we found out that the father is, we call them merchants. He was a drug dealer.
Oh, hang on. So the father of the children is involved in drug dealing?
Yes.
Okay.
That's only we found it at the later stage, when we could identify signs that the father is under substance, and when we requested for a drug test, he refused.
Right, okay.
Then later he confessed to say he only smoked cannabis. Still, we wanted to conduct a test to get enough evidence to understand what exactly is he using. He refused to be tested.
Okay, so this is a perfect case for you to present as complex case. Initial concerns was neglect. Later, it evolved to substance misuse. Parent not able to meet the child's needs. Yeah, and there are criminalities as well. Suspension that father is maybe misusing substance himself and dealing on substance as well. You understand? So that is a perfect example. Now, what did you do to make life better for these children? Once you've talked about what the concerns are, when you pick the case, then we need to move on to what you did to improve the child's outcome, because that is what will tell the interviewers whether you were able to navigate those concerns and make life better for the children, because the only reason we are involved is to keep children safe and make their life better.
Yeah. So what I did here, I first focused on the safety of the children. Remember, it was one.
How did you do that? You need to elaborate. Don't just be saying you need to elaborate.
I had to. We went home, we had to remove the other two children.
Good.
Because one was still at the hospital waiting to be discharged. Our concern was, what about two, whom dad was looking after them, and the mother had run away because she knew we were looking for her. So we removed those children and placed them with our foster parents temporarily while we did assessment with the family. So from the family, the auntie was willing to look after the children. We did our research, we assessed and interviewed the auntie. We did home visit, and we were happy. And she was willing to look after the children. We placed the children there temporarily while we wanted to assist the parents to go for rehabilitation. So mom accepted to go for rehabilitation. dad is still just willing, but he has also accepted. So mom has completed her 3-month rehabilitation program, whereby we have come as a team of profession to say 3-month outpatient is not enough. We are referring her to inpatient program. The children are looked well after with the auntie. We organized supervised visitation, whereby mom sees the children once a week under the supervision of a social worker, so that she can bond with her children. And we have also seen through that it has motivated her to say she really needs to do recovery so that she can get the kids back into her care. Then another intervention we did, the children were not documented. We referred mom to Home Affairs. She went and documented the children. They all got birth certificates. And she was able also to apply for children's grant. So right now, all the 3 children are getting grant, which is being managed by the auntie, because the children are living with the auntie.
That is a perfect response, but every profession has keywords. I want you to be using your keywords to demonstrate to the interviewer that you are a competent, confident, and capable social worker. Okay, so the way you answered it now, it's good, but we need to be saying the child-centered approach, the voice of the child, looking at the strength within the family. These are the key words that we must say. For example, we look at the auntie. The reason you were able to work with the auntie is because the auntie doesn't present a risk to the children, and they were not concerned about her own parenting. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you need to say things like that. Yeah? That's a very good response. So put the keywords down. Make sure you say child-centered approach. We look at the strength within the family. We work with multi-agency teams such as the police or the substance misuse team, the home affairs team, the grant team, to make sure that these children access services. By the time we close this case, these children were living in a house where their needs were met. Their auntie was keeping them safe, and the children was accessing education. Their health needs were met. Compared to where the case was when I first took over the case, we were able to get this outcome for these children. You get that?
Yeah.
It's very important to know that here's an opportunity for you just to have that person feel what kind of a person you are without them knowing you entirely. They just have to have a feel of who you are as a person. And, there's this thing that would train our workers in the restaurants, the waiters, that first impression is always last. Your person's perception of who you are, just from seeing you or talking to you, gives you the whole impression about who you are without them even delving deeper into a lot of things. So it's important to actually work on those first impressions that they do last.
And secondly, imagine yourself, you sat in a panel interviewing someone you don't know anything about.
Yes.
You have to make a life-changing decision based on an hour or 2 hours impression of them.
Yeah, whether we like it or not, but this is reality, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
People will make decisions just based on an hour, and yet to you, it's a decision that actually has an impact on your whole being.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to actually embrace that hour, knowing that someone is actually going to make a decision in just that hour, and yet it will be very important to you.
Very true. So, what do you consider as an outstanding practice? So, if I allocate a case to you now, which was heard by a colleague who has left the team, what do you need to see when you're looking at the case in order for you to say this is an outstanding practice or a poor practice?
So for me to actually say that this is outstanding practice, just from seeing the case, it's just in the results. Where did the case begin? what outcomes have they achieved so far given the timelines. Yes, because whenever we engage in anything, we need to actually achieve something. And most importantly, when you're working for families, what positive outcomes were achieved for the family? That we can say that there has been progress. So I'll be looking at any positive progressions that have been achieved so far from the time I actually take over. Yeah?
Yeah. So
Yes.
what else?
Honestly, outstanding practice is that one which is in sync with families and children. Our goal is actually in building very solid and lasting relationships to a point where they don't continue depending on us. Our goal is to promote independence, to promote positive outcomes for children and families. And this actually comes to being, especially where we involve them in the work. We actually understand them as a family, as children, to understand what are their aspirations. We work from there, because sometimes when we come and impose ourselves onto children or families and try to interpret their problems and needs from our own perspective, we are bound to fail. So it's important for me to actually see that in the assessments, where the voice of the family or the children, where they're really clear, where they outlined to such an extent that even if I were to read, I can actually really see that here it is the voice of the people concerning the concerns, whichever concerns are available. We just want to know if these people were being listened to, without any assumptions. So yes, by just looking at that report, it should be clear to me that indeed there has been progress of the agreed outcomes with children and families. Why I'm saying agreed outcomes is whenever we are working with children and families, we need to know what is their goal, given the concerns. How do they think they can actually achieve outcomes? What do they think about these concerns? Where are they lacking? What are their strengths? So I want to see if all those things were covered, so that these are the things which actually will give us strong pathways to progression and achieving outcomes for families, because we will be working collaboratively with them without imposing ourselves. Yes, sometimes we can probe to say, okay, we are working with them, we can be directive sometimes if need be, but where we are directive, we write reasons as to why we're directive. Our goal is to entirely work with children and families. We collaborate with them in all the plans that we want to achieve. Yeah.
I want you to tidy your response. Your answer is not neat.
It's not neat.
No.
Oh yes, I was just giving you asked me so casually, but outstanding practice is that one which shows clear collaboration, which has clear collaboration with families and all those that we are working with. What I mean by clear collaboration is our work should highlight the importance of building very good relationships and strong, lasting, trusting relationships. That because, to be honest with you, when you read about social workers and working with families, there's this misconception that our duty is to take away children or to break families, whereas our goal is to actually strengthen families and to ensure that they are thriving.
Vim Benashe, yeah?
Yes.
The question is, you collect a case that your manager, is giving to you.
Yes.
Case was handled by John, who has left our team. What do you need to see? So the needs, what I mean by, the answers, but I want you to be concise and straight to the point. So I will be expecting you to say, number one, there is the voice of the child.
Yes.
Number two, there is a clear and it's well written that anyone can understand what the risks are and what the protective factor or mitigations are. The strength, there is clear multi-agency working, which is what you talked about.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so number one, voice of the child, multi-agency working, the visits are on time. The
Yes.
child is being seen on time. Yeah?
Yes.
Also, we need to understand, it needs to be clear. Why are we involved? What is being done to address it? There is a smart and robust plan, which is clear and everyone understands what the plan is that we are trying to address. If the causation is, for example, we're involved because the child's health needs are not being met, there should be a clear plan of what has been done since the case came to us to make sure that the concerns, the reason we're there, they are being addressed. That is the neat answers I want you to give them.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, I see the way you asked me, like, okay, I didn't really think, but yes, we want to see the voice of the child, protective factors, balance with risk factors, balance with protective factors, clear multi-agency work, yeah?
Yeah.
Work was done on time, okay.
So if you answer the question like that, even your enemy will give you the job.
I like it when you say even the enemy will give you the job. Absolutely.
Right? So
Yep.
That is how I want you to answer that question. You can add more to it. What I say is that give your bullet point to show that you're confident that you know what your stuff. Then by the time you finish that, if you want to waffle, you can waffle, but you've already made your point known. Because when you're saying the voice of the child, they'll write it down. Yes. Multi-agency working. Yeah. Risk and strength. Yes. A smart plan. Yes. Child is being seen on time. Yes. These are the things that they're writing it down. Before you list 7, they've already given you that point, that this one is in the back. Yeah. So let's go to the next one. A case that you've handled before, a complex case that you've handled before, what was the outcome?
I had a case. Thank you so much for that question. I had a case of a 14-year-old who had presented at a public hospital with anxiety. And so they made a referral to the social work department. And so that's where I got this case. So upon speaking with the child, after building a rapport with her, she opened up that she had been sexually abused with her uncle, who was actually a traditional healer. They had actually gone for their routine traditional celebrations where young girls normally go to be checked for virginity testing, which is something that they did in their culture. And so she divulged that she was sexually abused by her uncle, but when she tried to open up to her mother, she did not really get the support. She was not believed. And so she was really, really afraid because her uncle was very influential in her community. And so she thought reporting to the police was of no use because he was like quite respected in his community and he had very good relationships with some of the police and other notable community leaders. And so when I got this case, I assured her that, what had happened to her was a crime and it was really necessary that the perpetrator was brought to book, regardless of whether the family was willing to listen to her. And so I sought her consent to speak to her mother, and she actually agreed. And so when I tried to engage with the mother, she really was saying that she doesn't resolve family matters with any outsiders. Whenever they've got any family issues, they believe in their traditions. And so this matter would be involved with her family alone and not anybody else. And so I tried I then arranged a visit with the mother. I just persuaded her to say if it was okay, we could actually then make arrangements to meet. And so we explored on the issue together. After this, the mother still insisted on her stance that they still believed that their traditional chiefs could handle the cases, but not the police or any outsiders. And so she had threatened even the child that if ever she was going to report this matter, then she was going to disown her, So then I just had to then speak to the child to ask her what was her position, because then I had to emphasize that this was a crime which was done to her. And so I contacted, with her consent, we contacted the Department of Social Development, because then we had to seek an emergency protection order, because then the child was not willing also to go home, given that no one was there to support her from her family. And she was more than happy to receive that support. So we then spoke to that Department of Social Development. They actually made an arrangement. The child got an emergency protection order, and which made it to be placed in an alternative placement. This was done whilst we were looking for all other family links, because then ideally we do not want to just put children in placements. We explored on other family connections that she had in the interim whilst she was put in a safe house. And so also, while this was in place, we signposted the child to the Tutuzela Rape Crisis Center, because this agency actually deals with many cases like this. And they have private detectives where they are not even involved or known with the local police stations. And so this just gives trust to the children that they will be safe in terms of safe reporting even their concerns. And the good thing also about the Tutuzela Health Crisis Center, children are also able to receive health assessments, especially where they've been abused. They have to go for routine health assessments. It again gives children that trust, because this is a private organization and they are able to get good care whilst they feel still confident to say that their privacy is being maintained. So the outcome was, at the end of the day, yes, the uncle was actually brought to book eventually. The matter was actually taken to the courts, and he was eventually arrested. And so we still continue to engage with the mother on the importance, because the child kept insisting that, she still needed her mother despite the circumstances. So we still engaged with the mother. Although she was not happy that her brother was arrested, we still saw that it was important that they maintained a very good relationship. And so we also managed to place the child in the permanent care of a maternal aunt, who was actually willing to assist to actually take care of her. And yes, the child was happy. She still had family members around her. So the maternal aunt was actually then given that legal guardianship over the child. And yes, that's one of the things that we managed to achieve. Also, the child had stopped going to school ever since her being abused. And so we actually also liaised with the Department of Social Development that she could actually get a school, because then she moved to a maternal aunt to a totally different province and area. Sometimes it's very difficult for children to transfer to schools, especially during the middle of a term. So we just engaged other professionals from the Department of Social Development, and they engaged with the education department to the province that she was moving to, so much that she seamlessly managed to integrate into a new school, and she's currently doing very, very well.
when you are asked a case like that,
Yes.
again, explain why the child came to the attention of children's services. The child came to the attention of children's services due to concerns about sexual exploitation and possibly neglect.
Yes.
So by saying those two things, it removed a lot of the things that you said in the beginning.
Okay.
Because mom, clearly, mom appears not to be able to keep this child safe. Yeah? If there were other concerns you said, then you now move the discussion to what you did in order to achieve the outcome that you achieved. So you'll be looking at multi-agency working, you assess the child will need therapy, you gather the child's voice, and you provide some therapeutic support, you place the child in a safe and loving environment. These are the things you did. You found a new school for the child because the child needs access to education. You were able to ensure that the child's health needs are met. These are the things you did that move a child who has been traumatized by being a victim of sexual exploitation to a point where she was striving, she was accessing education, her health needs are met. These are the things that they want to see. What is the child journey when they first came to your attention, and what was the case like by the time you finished working in the case?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In case like multi-agency working, you work with the police to make sure that this man was prosecuted, and at the end of the day, he will serve the custodial sentence, and you ensure that the child, while all these things was going on, you maintain a child-centered approach to make sure that the child needs are met. You make sure that the child, where the child is coming from, where the child is better than where the child is coming from. Yeah?
Yeah.
So let me just go back again. It said, on January 2020, the school contacted Children's Services due to concerns about the child. It had poor school attendance at 39%. That was a child, was often late and presented as tired. It reported that he was late to school as the sister wouldn't help him to get dressed in the morning. Yeah. The child talked about an incident that happened the night before where that daddy and mommy had been arguing and daddy hit mommy. He said that the other younger brother tried to intervene to help mommy when daddy was angry, but he was scared about being at home and didn't know what to do. Okay, checks reveal with that the other two the other two siblings, they were not at school. So here we have concerns about poor school attendance, children who are witnessing arguments, shouting and fighting at home.
Yes, coming late to school.
Yeah, the child, the 11 years old is depending on the 15 years old sister to get him ready for school, possible neglect. Yeah. Now, in terms of what are the strengths in the family, what would you say are the strengths in the family?
Okay, I would say the grandmother, because the grandmother at times looks after the children.
Good, that's one.
The neighbors that contacted, is it the police services?
Yeah.
The school.
Good.
The general practitioner.
Good.
The mother is taking antidepressants.
Good.
The husband just recently started working.
Yeah, good. Good.
I think,
And the fact that the mother is engaging with the GP itself, that is a strength.
Yes.
Yeah. So they live in a neighborhood where the neighbors appear to be concerned about them, and they are telling us what is going on. That's a strength. You know, just checking the neighbors concerns. Okay.
The neighbors were the ones that reported.
Okay, that's good. We know what the strengths are. The school is a strength. The GP, mom taking antidepressant, mom going to the GP, that's a strength. So what are we worried about?
We are worried about the 15-year-old being out at 2 a.m. sexual and maybe criminal exploitation.
So we are worried about possible criminal or sexual exploitation.
Yes.
We're worried
About
possible
poor school
neglect.
attendance.
Yeah.
Yes. We are worried about the domestic violence at the house.
Yeah.
We are worried about the swearing, the shouting that is happening at the house. Like kids will end up normalizing that it's normal for parents to fight.
Yeah.
We are worried about the neglect because the kids are always scruffy, the house is always messy.
We are also worried that parents appear unable to keep their children safe because we got 15 years old who was seen in town alone. Yeah.
Yes. And they didn't even know that she wasn't even at home.
Yeah. Okay. What else are we worried about?
Can I mention something about the parental capacity, because they are not looking after the kids. They are not even aware that the 15-year-old is out.
So this is what I would say on that one. So parental capacity is broad.
Yes.
Inside that parental capacity, you have ability to meet basic needs. You have ability to keep the children safe, ability to ensure the children are attending school. So I wouldn't want to say parental capacity because it's broad. Yeah. So I'd rather we'll say, well, we got serious concerns about parenting because parents appear unable to keep the children safe. They appear that the children are the one taking care of themselves. They can't meet their basic needs. Yeah. Yes. We're worried that the children are exposed to domestic abuse, which means that the parents are not able to keep them safe and set boundaries in place. We have a situation where the 15-year-old was seen in town around 2 a.m. Parents did not even know she wasn't in the home. They didn't even report her to the police. That raises question about ability to keep your child safe. Yeah.
Yes.
So rather we break it down.
Okay.
I would say we are worried about parenting because they are not keep the children safe. The children are exposed to domestic abuse. Their children poor school attendance is a concern. They are exposed to shouting, argument. We're worried about the parents themselves misusing substance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we will drill it down like that. So these two questions, I want you to think about these questions very well and how to respond. So what would you include in your plan for the family?
Okay. The first one would be the plan to address the poor education outcome because of the poor attendance.
Okay.
The second one would be to address the neglect in the home. The third one would be to address the domestic abuse in the house. The fourth one would be to address the substance misuse.
Okay. Okay. I think you kind of like you get the gist of what you have to do. So let me just break it down one by one. What the things that we need to address. So in our plan, what we will include, we've got concern about poor school attendance. Like you said, we have to address that. Yes. We've got concern about the children being exposed to shouting, fighting, and argument at home. We have to address that. We've got concern about possible criminal and sexual exploitation. That has to be addressed. We've got concern about parents who appear to be misusing substance. That has to be addressed. We've got concern about what is school, domestic abuse, shouting, criminal exploitation. We got concerned about possible neglect. Yeah, that has to be addressed. So what are the key who are the key members that needs to be involved? So we know what we like education. We know the children's school attendance is poor. We need to address that. In order to address that, we need education to be the lead agency to help us get the children to school. Yeah. We're worried about substance misuse from parents. In order to address that, we're working with the substance misuse team to get the parents to work that. We're worried about the parent being exposing the children to shouting, argument, and fighting. We will be looking at referring them to a parenting course where they will develop appropriate strategies to resolve their disputes and help them understand the impact of shouting, argument, and swearing on their children's development. That is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is part of the plan. So in terms of the plan, education, there are no concern about unmet health needs.
Okay.
This family, we haven't heard anything about the children's not being seen by the GP or anything like that yet. So we're not worried about their health. We're worried about their education. We are worried about the things that they're exposed to. We are worried about domestic abuse in the home. We are worried about substance misuse. We are worried about criminal or sexual exploitation. So those things that we are worried about, it is the agencies like the substance misuse team, they will be the one that will work with the parents.
Yes.
We will be reporting back to us. So, okay, part of the plan will be John and the mom and dad need to access support for their substance misuse.
Yes.
The children educational out, we need to work towards, currently their school attendance is about 30 something. We need to work towards the government guideline, which is over 90. That is the goal we are trying to work towards. We will need to work towards a situation where the younger one who reported that he couldn't get ready for school because the sister didn't get him ready, we don't want him to come back and tell us anything like that. We want to get to a situation where he will say, Mommy got me up ready for school on time today. That is why I'm here. Yeah. And we're worried. We also want to get to a situation where the child is not going to come to school and say, oh, Mommy and Daddy were fighting. Yes, they don't want them to be exposed to those kind of things. So I think you kind of like get the gist of the things that we need to tackle before we close this case.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I do understand. I get it.
You feel confident to smash this?
Yeah, especially with the case. I'm very confident with the case.
Okay.
With the case study.
Okay. So I think what is good? What does an astounding practice look to you?
Okay. Thank you, Francis, for that question. A good outstanding practice must be child-centered, and it must focus on, all the focus must be on the child.
Yeah.
It must be multi-agents working.
Yeah.
Working collaboratively with other organizations.
Yeah.
A good outstanding practice must have a plan to address the concerns identified.
Yeah.
It must be clear, and it must be clear and consistent recording.
Yeah.
The child must be seen on time.
Yeah.
Every visit must be recorded.
Yeah.
It must identify risks and strengths within the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have a smart plan.
Okay. I mentioned that one to say it must have a plan to address the concerns identified.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, keep going. Keep firing. I can see. I can see now that yes.
The case summary must be in chronological order.
Good.
Every visit must be recorded.
Good.
As you know, like assessment is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
Assessment is an ongoing process. So new information must be updated on the system.
Yeah.
I don't know, did I leave anything like every visit? Visits must be done on time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can see that the way you're sounding now, you are in a much better place now. So I think now I can confidently say that you will get the job if you appear like this and the way you're answering this question now. So you qualify when?
At UNISA.
When? You say you've been a social worker for less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what team are you? What kind of tell me more about what kind of work you've been doing since you qualified.
Yeah, at first after I qualified, I finished my studies in October 2022, and then I started volunteering at the DST. Soon after my exams, I started volunteering. That was 2022 in October, and then they employed me in January as a child protection social worker.
In January when?
2023, last year.
Okay. So in terms of
I'm still new.
I like I said to you the other day, maybe God has a way of being on your side because you're very lucky. They don't normally
Yeah.
offer interview to people that haven't got experience, honestly speaking. So I was surprised. So how did you find the videos you watch?
Oh, I've learned a lot. You are a good teacher. I must commend you for that. I think you make it sound very easy.
It's easy, you will get it. I've got 100% pass rate.
Yeah, though I'm still nervous that it's my first interview and of this kind. So, in overseas job is different from what we do here. So yeah, I'm a bit nervous.
If you approach it the way you are now, your body language, now it shows you're relaxed. If you approach it the way you are today, you will get the job.
Oh, thank you.
Let your personality come out. Smart.
Okay.
Do you mind if I ask you how old are you?
42.
Okay. Let your personality come out. Smile, relax, and just be yourself. You will get it.
Okay.
So the first thing I'm going to do, there will be a brief, they'll read a passage and they'll ask you some questions based on the passage. So let me just, I can bring it up and read it for you. So this story, I'm looking for it now so I can just bring it out. Let me see. So do you know the local authority, they use strength-based practice, yeah?
Yeah.
What is your understanding of strength-based practice?
Can you come again?
What is your understanding of strength-based practice?
Okay, the strength-based practice are usually it doesn't look. The strength-based practice concentrate on the strengths of the client. It doesn't look on the weaknesses only.
So what do you class as strength then? Give me an example of strength. Give me an example of strength.
Of strengths, okay.
Yeah.
In terms of a client.
Yes.
All right. A client might not be working, but she might have hairdressing skills. She can do. You can encourage her to do hair than waiting to get employment.
Okay. So I'm going to read the passage to you now, yeah? I'm going to read it to you, but I want you to tell me. I'm going to read it to you, then I'm going to ask you some questions. The local authority, or they are likely to use something similar to this. I just want you to listen attentively, then I'll ask you some questions, yeah?
Okay.
So, okay, I'm bringing it up now. So this family, we've got a 12 years old girl. Sorry, got 12 years old boy, 15 years old daughter, 7 years old son. We've got mom and dad. That's 3 children. One is 15, one is 12, and one is 7.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in November, Children's Services received a police report to say that they had attended the address following calls from neighbors reporting that they had been arguing and shouting at the address at 11 p.m.
Okay.
The neighbors reported concerns that there had been lots of adults coming in to the address at different times in the day, and that they felt the children were always scruffy. Now, scruffy is an English slang for children look unkept. Yeah?
Okay. Can you repeat that again? That part, my network is poor, sorry.
Okay. The neighbors reported concerns that there had been lots of adults coming into the house address at different times in the day, and they felt the children were always scruffy or unkept.
Okay.
When the police arrived, the children were still up. When the police arrived at close to 12 o'clock, the children were still up. The parent denied any arguing and said it must have been another neighbor. Concerns raised regarding the condition of the two-bedroom flats the family were living, which was very messy and dirty. In April, that is 5 months later, the first incident was in 2016. In April 2016, that's about roughly coming to 2 years, the children's grandmother contacted Children's Services raising concerns about her daughter. She reported her daughter had been seen with bruises on her arms, but when asked about it, she got defensive. She reported that both her daughter and her partner had lost a lot of weight and were always asking for money from her. The daughter went to the GP and was taking antidepressants. The grandmother reported that she had been having the children to stay more in order to support the parent, but was worried about what was going on in the home. She was also pleased that her daughter's partner had recently got a new job, which she thought may help. Yeah? In February 2019, the police reported that they had found the daughter, the 15-year-old daughter, out in the community at 2 a.m. in the morning with older men age 19. Remember, she's 15.
Okay.
They reported that the daughter had been under the influence of alcohol. When they returned her to the home, they reported that the parent had not known she was missing and reported that they had concerns that the parents were presenting as they were drunk themselves. Due to this, they arranged that the daughter and other children should go to their grandmother.
Okay.
In January 2020, one of the children's school contacted Children's Services due to concerns about the child. He had poor attendance. Attendance was 39%. He was often late, presented as tired. He reported that he was late to school as his sister would not help him to get dressed in the morning. This young boy talked about the incident. Let's just call him William. William talked about the incident that had happened the night before, where he reports his dad and mommy had been arguing and daddy hit mommy. He said that at home and didn't know what to do. Checks with the sister, the children's school showed that they were not in school. That's the other children were not at school. Did you get a gist?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just wait a bit. Which the younger one was not in school?
So there are 3 children. One of them one of them was the one that went to school that said he's tired because he's relying on his sister to get him ready for school, and checks done on his siblings' school shows that they were not at school. So the question I'm asking, the question is, what are the strengths in the family?
Strengths.
Yes. So looking at strength-based approach, what do you see as the strength in the family?
There's this grandmother who keep checking on the family.
That's one.
And then the older sister is helping the younger siblings.
How is that a strength? How is that a strength?
She's looking after the younger ones.
That is a concern. She's a child. She should not be looking after the younger ones. That is a concern, not a strength.
It's a concern, okay. And then the neighbors.
That is a strength.
The school.
Strength.
I think that's all I noticed.
So you said school, grandmother, neighbor.
Yeah.
I want you to look at the passage again, whether you see any of that strength beside those ones. There are other ones, but I want you to think about them. First of all, strength is anything that decreases risk. So the fact that the mom went to the GP, she collected antidepressant, is that a strength or a weakness?
It's a strength.
Why is it a strength?
Because the antidepressants will help you cope.
Thank you. So write that down as a strength. Not the antidepressant, the going to the GP and taking the antidepressant, those are the strengths. So going to the GP is the first one. Taking antidepressant. Those are strengths, right?
Yeah.
Any other one? What about, it says in the passage, the partner recently started working.
Oh yeah.
Is that a strength?
Yes.
Why is it a strength?
You support the family.
Okay, that's a strength. Okay, put that down. Good. Any other one? Any more?
No.
The children they are in school. One of the children is in school, which means that the school will be able to know if they have any concerns. That school itself, that's a protective factor. So that should be number one strength. If a child is attending school, that is a strength because the school can say, oh,
we saw this child today, it was well presented or it wasn't well presented.
Okay.
Okay? So those are the strengths in the passage. Now let us look at the next question. The next question is, what are you worried about?
I'm worried about one, the children, according to the neighbors, they stay up to 12 because the police came at 12 and found them still awake. And the parents are shouting in front of the children are incapable, they are not being looked after. And there are people who are always coming in and going with strangers late in front of the children. And then the other daughter, the 15-year-old, was seen at all the hours, 2 a.m. With men under the influence of alcohol. And then the other one, I forgot the age, should be 14. The middle one is always tired in school. And the younger one said mom and dad always argue, and dad or sometimes the mom. And I think, and then the others are not going to school.
Okay, I think you get the gist. You are spot on. So the one that was saying around 2 a.m. with older man, we are worried that she could be at risk of sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
We are worried that the children are witnessing arguments and shouting in front of their parents. Therefore, they are at risk of harm. The one that goes to school tired, we're worried that he may not fulfill his potential. We are worried that the other two, they are not at school at all. We are worried that the children are the ones caring for themselves. If that continues, their future will be affected. We are worried about, like you said, people are coming in and out of their house. So you get the gist. That one, you got it very, very good. Let's go to the next question. What would you include in your plan for the family?
I will consider our parental capacity.
You consider what?
Parental capacity.
The question is, what would you include in your plan? Now we've identified the concerns. What would you include in your plan to make life better for these children?
Okay.
And there's something there's something that we're worried about, which we did not talk about, that the parents may be misusing substance. That's very, very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I will counsel the parent. I will engage with the parents first and find out if they are using drugs. And if they are using drugs, then I can suggest it.
Daphne, the question is, what would you include in your plan?
Can you help me on that?
Okay, so what we need to include in our plan, we need to include work with the substance misuse team. We need to have a plan to have the parents address the drinking. We need to have a plan to help them understand the impact of their children being exposed to shouting and argument on their health and development. We also need to, as part of the plan, we also need to have a plan to address the children's post-school attendance. we also need to have a plan to address the young one who is at risk of sexual exploitation. Now, this is very important. Social work is about solving problems and it's about having a plan. And why do we have a plan? We have a plan to address a problems that we have identified in our assessment. So when you go into a home, you've assessed that a child is at risk of harm. You've assessed that parents are arguing and shouting in front of the child, which means that the child is going to be at risk of harm if that were to continue. You've assessed that the children have poor school attendance. So you need to come up with a plan to address all those things that you have identified in your assessment.
Okay.
So with what I've said, now I'm going to ask you the question again to make sure that you get the gist. What would you include in your plan for the family? At least now you understand what we're trying to do.
Okay. I'll work with the substance abuse.
You what? Say that again.
I'll work considering that the parents might be abusing substances. I'll work with them to the substance abuse. Let's say the rehabilitation.
Okay. So.
And then.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then I'll address the young ones at risk of social exploitation.
Yeah.
And then I'll make sure that the children are in school.
Okay.
And then I'll also make sure that they are well kept.
What do you mean?
Like the parents, it sounds like they're being neglected.
Okay. There's the neglect there, you're right.
So I'll make sure that the parents are given some education to look after their children.
We don't use that word in social work in England. What you will say is that I will refer them to parenting course. I will refer them to parenting program.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we are seeing now is very straightforward. This is a case of possible neglect, concerns about sexual exploitation, concerns about domestic abuse, concerns about poor school attendance, lack of boundaries, because the children, when the officers came, the children were still awake around almost 12 o'clock. So those are the concerns. Yeah. So those are the things that you are trying to address. The last question I'm going to ask you is, who are the key members that need to be involved in your plan?
The school.
Yeah.
The grandmother.
Yeah.
The police. Hello.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
The police, they are not part of the plan. So the people that will be part of the plan is number one, the substance misuse team. Their role is to work with parents to address substance that they are misusing. Education will be part of the plan. Their role is to work with the multi-agency team to get the children's school attendance to be addressed, poor school attendance to be addressed. We will get children who are at risk of sexual exploitation. We'll get a team that works with those children involved as well to work with that 12 years old.
Sorry?
we would, you know, when a child is at risk of sexual exploitation, there are some teams that work with children who are at risk of sexual exploitation. So we will get that team involved as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will also get a team that work with parents where there are concerns about domestic abuse. So we want to work with parents so that they understand the impact of shouting, fighting, and arguing in the presence of their children on their children's development.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the teams that we will get involved. We will also consider what they call family group conference. Now, this is very important. If you say this in the interview, you'll get a big mark. Do you know what family group conference is?
No.
It's when you call all the family members, you call auntie, grandmom, or granddad, everybody come together to see how they can support the family.
Okay.
That is what family group conference is. So we'll explore, apart from the grandmother, is there any other family members who can support the family? We'll explore that as well.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you repeat again?
I said we will explore family group conference to see whether there are other family members apart from grandmom who can support the children, support the family.
All right.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So I want to ask you the question again. I want you to go through the question one by one because it's very, very important, yeah? So the first question is, let me just bring it up again. I'm just bringing up the question because I want you to make sure you get this one. The first question is, what are the strengths in the family?
The mother going to the GP, and then the neighbors, the school, the child attending school, the other child attending school is a strength as well.
Yeah.
And then the partner who recently started working.
Yeah.
And then what else? The grandmother.
Yeah.
Which would sometimes looks after the checks in the family.
Yeah.
And then I think that's all we mentioned.
Okay. And number 2 question is, what are we worried about?
Yeah, we're worried about the sexual exploitation the child was involved in some men. It's 2 a.m. under the influence of alcohol, and then risk of harm. The parents are always shouting to each other in front of the kids, and failing to care for themselves and the family, and then the misuse of substances.
Okay. Yeah. Those are the concerns. Yeah. So, in terms of what are you going to include in your plan?
I will include I'll work with the substance abuse team, and then the parents, since they are not looking after their children, like healthy, I'll encourage them to attend the parenting program so that they can be taught how to look after their children. And then the domestic abuse team, and then the school, sexual exploitation team family group conference.
Yeah, so the question number 3 and question number 4, they are similar. Question number 3 just means that, so you have those things that you're worried about. What are you going to have in your plan? And which agency is going to do what you expect them to do? So if you have, as part of your plan, to address the children's poor school attendance, question number 4, which agency is going to do that? That will be education. If you have in your plan for parents to address substance misuse, the agency that you're going to work with to do that is going to be the substance misuse team. If you have in your plan for parents to understand the impact of shouting and fighting in front of their children on their children's development, the agency that you're going to involve is going to be the domestic abuse team. You understand?
Okay.
So I think that is that one. Yeah? Can you just confirm, when is your interview again, please?
On the 8th, Thursday, this coming
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
Okay, that's fine.
8th, this Thursday, yeah.
Okay,
It's so
fine.
close.
It's fine. I'll try and meet up with you on Tuesday again, yeah? One of the best books that you will ever read is a book called The Art of War. It's a very small book written 2,500 years ago by a Chinese philosopher. This book is so important that before you join some organizations, even the United States Marine military, they recommend it for certain officers to read before they prepare for certain things. It's a very small book. The reason I'm mentioning the book, what the author of that book was saying is that before you go for any war, the war are won even before they start. If we relate that book, what the premise of that book is to what you're doing on Tuesday when you have your interview, what he is saying is that, the author is saying is that before you leave your house and go and have an interview, 35% of whether you will get a job or not depends on how you feel that day. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't think you're good enough, unfortunately, that would come across in the interview.
Yeah, it's true. I concur with the writer. I concur with that author.
The greatest thing we can have is determination. If a person is determined to do something and they are convinced that I have to do this thing, the way the brain works, that your brain will start giving you some ideas. So Vicky, have you thought about this? Maybe this preparation, this legislation, this policy and procedure, your brain start coming up with the things that would enhance your preparation. I believe that if you approach the interview with the same body language that you're speaking to me now, you will get the job. So my work is to try to prepare you. So I'm going to ask you some questions like, this is the interview, yeah? For the sake of this exercise, we've got John, who is 8 years old. John came to school on Monday. He disclosed to his class teacher that his father chastised him. He's got bruise on his body. Class teacher reported to the safeguarding team. You are on duty. What would you do?
Okay, since the threshold has been met, because John has already suffered harm, because he's already having bruises on his body, I would call for a meeting with other stakeholders. And in that meeting, it will be involving the police, the doctor, the school. Yeah, those are the stakeholders and the parents. Those are the stakeholders that I'm going to involve my.
So the multi-agency, the meeting, the strategy discussion, parents do not attend in the UK. So this is what I want you to do. If you ask me that case, what the first thing, I don't want you to think that you don't have to get John's views. His views, wishes, and feelings are very important. You have to go and see John, assess the situation for yourself. However, if it is evident that he has suffered bruises, got mark on his body, that means that he is likely to have already suffered harm. So the first thing you will do in a case like that is you will say to your manager, look, we've got a referral here. I'm going to see John at school. If what this report says is confirmed, I will be recommending that we hold a strategy discussion as soon as possible. So I've had cases before where a child made a disclosure that they were malhandled over the weekend. In my mind, I was thinking, is this a case that we need to hold a strategy discussion? Let me go and find out myself. I went there. It later emerged that the child was just making up things that didn't happen. He was just doing it because he wanted attention. Assuming that child had bruises on their body and they were saying that their parents chastised them, therefore, which is why they have the bruise, I would have said, let's hold a strategy discussion. But because the disclosure was unsubstantiated, I took that young child, I took him back to his parents. And when I went back to his house, one of the things I was looking at is I was looking at how he would react, his body language when he stepped into the house. What is the interaction between him and his parents? Is he showing sign that he's afraid in the presence of his parents? You understand? Those are the key things I'm looking for. So, if you are given a case study, I just want you to be looking at three things. There's something in social work called the 3 whys. The 3 why means what is happening. So in the case of John, what is happening is that John has disclosed that his father chastised him and therefore caused bruise to his body. That is what is happening. Yeah? Then the second why is it happening? That means, why is the bruise in John's body? Who is responsible for the bruises? That's the second why. What is happening? Why is it happening? Then what? Then what means that is the threshold for you to decide what is going to happen now. I've got information that John said his father caused bruise to him. I've got hypothesis that his father may have caused this bruise. Is there enough safety for this child to return back home? Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
That is not a very impressive side.
Because I can feel that I'm still very far from being ready.
No, you are ready. This question, they're not going to ask you, but the one I'm asking you now is deep, because I want you to understand the fundamentals of social work in the UK. But they're not going to go this deep. So if I drill you like this, it's like Your coach is telling you, let's go for 6,000-mile marathon. And the competition you are training for is going to be 20,000. So if you train for 60,000 and it's 20,000, you should be able to smash it.
I hope so.
You will. Like I said, 35% depends on you. If you don't believe you're going to get it, you're not going to get it. You need to believe in yourself. You're good enough. That's why you are where you are now. That's why you've come this far. So the first question we're going to look is that, can you tell me what an astounding practice is?
Okay, I would look at the way they first had the first encounter with the client, how they assessed their case, and what type of intervention they made to be able to help this client, and who was involved in the who was involved to be able to help the client to meet their needs, and also basically those are some of the things that I would look at.
What you need to be writing down. What you need to be writing down, and if you ask any question like this, is number one, the child-centered approach, voice of the child, clear recording. What are the risks to the child? What are the strengths in the family? Is the visit up to date? A clear evidence of the multi-agency teams that are involved. A case summary and a smart plan of how we intend to address the concerns we have. So Betty, can you tell me a case you've been recently involved in that shows good multi-agency working? Or tell me what you understand by good multi-agency working.
Okay. So must I give my case?
Yeah, the question I'm asking you, give me an example of a case you recently worked in which demonstrated good multi-agency working.
Okay, thank you so much, Francis, for that question. The case that I've worked with where I demonstrated multi-agents working is of a 13-year-old boy. I will name him Roy. That is not his real name for confidentiality purposes. Roy was not attending school. His school attendance was very low. Roy was misusing cannabis. So his mother poured hot water on him as a form of punishment. This is what I did. I called in for a strategic meeting to discuss the concerns. We came up with a plan. I called the education. I called the substance misuse team. I called the parenting team because we had 3 concerns here, because Roy was misusing cannabis, he was not accessing education, and mom was using inappropriate parenting style. So after I called the strategic meeting, we all agreed that Roy was at risk of harm. Then this is what we came with. We agreed that mom will need to access parenting course where she would learn strategies to be able to manage Roy. We also agreed that I would need to work with the education department so that Roy his grades, his attending school can also improve. We also worked with the substance misuse team Roy had also behavioral issues, so we are going to work with the substance misuse team to work with Roy regarding his substance and behavioral issues. What I did is I had to send, so I also forgot. Okay, I forgot to mention something. I also called the nurses from the hospital so that we can discuss. Roy was burnt. My mom poured water on Roy, so he had second-degree burns, so he needed medical attention. So I worked with 4 professionals. What I did is first I had to send Roy to the hospital for medical attention because of the burns. The plan was also to refer Roy to substance misuse team, but in the meantime, whilst Roy was in the hospital, I called for a family conference where we would discuss who was going to take Roy whilst we were waiting for mom to go for parenting classes. After I called the family conference, the grandmother came forward and said she will look after Roy. I also called the parenting team so that they can empower mom with parenting skills so that she can unlearn the approaches that she used by pouring water on Roy. And then I also worked with I sent a referral letter to the Child and Youth Care Center where they would address the substance misuse and also the behavioral issues. Thank you. As I go ahead.
So Betty, what I'm seeing in that your response is that it's coming across to me that you're not confident. I'm seeing doubt in your, it's coming to me psychologically that you're doubting yourself. So in life, even when you don't know what you're saying, if you come across to people as confident, they're going to score you high. So I'm going to give you an example of how I'm going to talk about the same case. Okay. Thank you very, very much, Betty. The case that I recently involved in, which demonstrated good marketing agency working, involves a 12-year-old boy named Roy. These are the concerns. Misusing cannabis. Roy had school attendance of 43%. His mother chastised him, and therefore Roy suffered bruises. They were also concerned about substance misuse, school attendance, and chastising. Now, what we did is that we had a strategy discussion because Roy suffered bruises from the attack from his mom. The threshold has been met for us to hold a meeting with multi-agency team, and in that meeting it was agreed that the threshold has been reached for us to undertake further investigation. And as a result, as part of my investigation, I explore a place of safety in the family. I had to assess whether Roy remains in the house or we'll remove Roy and take him to a place of safety. I decided that I could work with the family by reaching a safety agreement with mom, which makes it very clear that she must not use physical chastisement on Roy. And also part of the plan, we had to work with education because we understand that mother's frustration stems from Roy's behavior, which moms was struggling to manage. So part of the plan we came up with was that we need to address Roy's poor school attendance, attend the substance misuse. They were also concerned about possible exploitation because we did not know where Roy was getting cannabis from. So we involved the exploitation team, education, a parenting team. Part of the plan involves mom accessing parenting course. The reason for that is for mom to develop a more appropriate way to respond to Roy without resulting to use physical chastisement. So when we had the plan in place to address the poor school attendance, substance misuse, mom using inappropriate parenting approaches, the plan was reviewed every 6 weeks. We had a family group conference to explore a contingency. If Roy couldn't live with his mom, who in the family can he live with? We had another review again because we realized that mom was struggling to get Ron to school initially. We reviewed the plan and the school said they would send a family support worker to support mom with regards to getting Ron to school. Ron's education attendance increased from 34% to 60%, but that was a good improvement, but we still felt that it was beyond the goal, which was 91%. So what you're demonstrating now is that you have a clear plan of what is the concern. So you start with introduction. The case that I recently involved a 12-year-old boy. We're going to call him Roy for the sake of this exercise. These are the concerns: poor school attendance, substance misuse, inappropriate parenting, because mom chastised Roy, which therefore resulted in Roy suffering bruise. When you mention a child suffers bruise, what you need to know is you pause. Then you now say, when a child suffers bruise, we need to hold a multi-agency meeting. You can say, I know in England, you guys call it strategy meeting, but here in South Africa, we call it multi-agency meeting. And part of that meeting is to decide whether whether the threshold has been met for Roy, that Roy is at risk of suffering harm. We decided, because Roy has already suffered bruises, if this is the case you need to use, you're not just telling them about multi-agency working, but you're also telling them about risk assessment. You're also using this question to answer to them that if a child has suffered bruises, then you need to assess whether the child can remain at home. If you are working with me, for instance, my child, God forbid, has suffered bruises which is caused by me or my wife, and my wife is saying, well, we are Christians, we are Africans, this is how we chastise our child, we don't listen to you. That shows that we lack insight into the concern that you're raising with us. In a case like that, you need to explore an alternative placement, because you know that the family are likely to do that. So what you're going to need to demonstrate with them is that in terms of the poor school attendance, mention, if you're saying poor school attendance, you say, okay, mention a percentage. The reason for that is that you can use that to evidence what progress has been made. You get it?
Yes, I do.
And you now say, okay, the reason for having the substance misuse worker involved as part of the plan is to work with Roy to address the substance. The reason for having the parenting team involved is to work with parents to develop appropriate strategies to manage Ron's behavior without resulting to physical chastisation. The reason for having education involved is to address the post-school attendance. This plan will not work without multi-agency working. My role was to coordinate the support to make sure that each professional complete the task that is on the plan to improve Roy's outcome. If you say it like that, you will hit it, because this question, what you do that every day in your work. What you want to demonstrate to them is that you know why multi-agency working is important, and you, Betty, as a social worker, you cannot do this alone without other professionals.
That's correct, yes.
Betty, good luck. I'm going to send this to you now so you can prepare. Try have a good sleep, yeah?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.